Good morning, men. How are you doing? We are in week number 2 of Exodus 90. Last week, in our first video, we talked about the virtue of humility. And I promised that we're following Aristotle and St. Thomas Aquinas in what the structure of virtue is for them. So humility, we said, is the foundation of the whole house. And I told you to imagine the two pillars that uphold the house as two pillars that have two virtues on each side, and those virtues we call the cardinal virtues. And we have prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. Today we're going to talk about prudence, okay? And these virtues operate at two levels. Human prudence, which is definitely not enough for you guys who are taking on this awesome program of uniting our hearts to the person of Jesus Christ, who calls us to something beyond the natural. He calls us to the supernatural, right? And so today we're going to talk about prudence, that virtue. There's so much to say about it, but I'm going to give you two examples. So what is insufficient prudence? What is only natural prudence and not supernatural prudence? I know I'm going to give an example that might ruffle some feathers, but for example, in this time of pandemia, we see a lot of people who very prudently say, I'm not going to go to Mass because it's very dangerous. But those same people have no problem in going to the beach and then going to a bar or a restaurant and having, being close to other people indoors. So no to Mass, yes to these other types of plans. What about the prudence of the saints who, and I'm not saying not to be careful, I'm not saying that we shouldn't keep social distancing, wear our masks, or whatever you think is better for you, but there's just it's being careful of the things that seem to be comfortable for me. Another example, one of the talents we get in our lives is money, because with health and with time, and they both come from God, we get our health from God, we get time from God, we can spend our money. So when I buy things, do I ask myself the question that the saints ask themselves, which is, do I want this or do I need this? Is this necessary or is this just a little new toy that I want to buy for myself? Two simple and quick examples that we have right there in order to determine whether I'm living prudently or not. In German, I happen to do my novitiate in Germany. In German, the word prudence is Klugheit. And that same word, Klugheit, is used for two concepts. One is intelligence, and one is prudence. Why do they use the same word? Well, because prudence is a virtue that comes with experience. Without it, it's not easy to operate prudently. This virtue was called by Aristotle the charioteer of the other three cardinal virtues. This is the most important one. This is the one that controls how just we are, how strong we are, fortitude, and how temperate we are. So, guys, as we continue in this journey of working towards becoming like Christ, knowing that our foundation is humility, and that we have this first charioteer virtue, the one that controls all the other horses and allows us to choose, here's the definition, to choose the right means for the goal that we are set out to achieve. How prudent am I being? Go ahead and get on the internet. Find a good video from a good source, of course, and go deeper into this virtue of prudence. But all I can say is, without this virtue, we are not going to be choosing the right means to achieve our goal. What is our ultimate goal? Well, in the app, when we put our why we're doing this, our ultimate goal, guys, is the person of Jesus Christ. Tell me of a greater goal, of a greater aspiration and desire of the soul than the person of Jesus Christ, and I'll tell you, well, St. Teresa of Avila does not agree with you. Or she wouldn't agree with me if I were to choose something else than the person of Jesus Christ. She said, only God is sufficient. And St. Augustine, before her, said, Lord, we long for you, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you. Guys, hopefully we can bring to prayer this petition of the Lord to make our hearts and our minds, hearts and minds of prudent men. God bless.